Welcome back, guys! It is Star Series Season 11, second to last day of group stage play for the Chinese group stage, and here we are with our second game of the day, LGD versus Vici Gaming. Both of these teams sitting pretty close to the top of the group at the moment. Vici Gaming have secured themselves a spot in the best of 3 double elimination portion of the competition with a 5-1 record, and LGD are actually still undefeated 3-0. So we'll see if Vici Gaming can put an end to that and likely secure themselves the #1 spot coming out of the group stage. I'm Basskip, and you guys are joining me here on Dota Starladder _EN. Thank you for being here tonight. And with all of that out of the way, let's get ourselves underway with this draft. We've got Death Prophet and Brewmaster banned out by Vici Gaming. LGD, having seen some Broodmother action in the previous game, are going to get rid of that right off the bat, along with the Elder Titan, which was played very, very well by Fenrir in that previous game, and it's supports galore for our first couple of picks. Vengeful Spirit and Ogre coming out for Vici Gaming, and LGD will snag themselves a Skywrath Mage. So we'll probably see plenty of core bans coming out in the next couple of rounds. Meanwhile, LGD, a team that has been hot and cold since their inception. People have been talking about what an all-star roster they are. Yet the performance hasn't really lived up to the hype of all the names on the team, but they've been pulling out some pretty solid performances recently, and it looks like this Starladder might be their time to shine, to start getting things going. So we are going to have some core bans as anticipated. Vici Gaming, continuing with the theme of banning out Teamfight and 5-man, are going to get rid of that Tide Hunter. They banned out a Batrider in their previous game against IG, which is a fantastic match. Definitely go and check that one out if you haven't, or if you weren't around for it. They do have the Vengeful Spirit on their side already, so maybe a little bit unlikely that we see a Batrider ban. They do have some tools to deal with it. And we will once again be seeing this Ember Spirit, though this time prioritized by LGD. The exact same pick spot as IG picked it up in the previous game, and it's surprising to see that this hero is sort of still very, very popular in the Eastern scene. He has fallen off a little bit in the West. We still see him from time to time with Elder Titan. There are still definitely some teams that run him, but not to the degree that we've seen in the last 2 days of Starladder Season 11. Not that that's necessarily indicative of everything that's been going on in China, but at least piecing together the trend from those 2 days, it seems to be the case. And LGD just going to be targeting out an Invoker and a Faceless Void. We do quite often see the Faceless Void banned out against Ember Spirit just to try and keep him safe. It can be a little bit difficult to drop a Chrono on the Ember, but if you manage to find it, then he is often dead to rights. So I think the ban is a solid one here. LGD do seem to have a knack for running aggressive roaming supports as well, so could see something similar to that out of them this game. And Vici actually throwing a little bit of a curveball, do end up going for the Visage, so looks like we could be seeing a core Venge or a core Visage this game. They've got tons of burst damage, lots of lockdown, lots of ways to rack up the soul assumption, and most importantly, a lot of physical damage to keep the Ember Spirit afraid. And also the very squishy Skywrath Mage is probably in for some trouble this game. If he gets hit by a Howl and then those birds come swooping out of the trees, he's going to get his eyes pecked out pretty quickly. So let's see what happens as we delve a little bit further into this draft. Looks like FY sort of has this draft concocted already, not using any of reserve time just yet. Faith, meanwhile, not scrambling, but is taking some considered time to work his way through these picks. Could see, so thinking of typical answers to the Visage, especially if it's going to be the Visage Drow here out of Vici Gaming. The Bristleback definitely comes to mind. Cool Spray is very annoying for the birds to deal with, cleans them up pretty quickly. Axe is another hero that the familiars can struggle against, and also a very good hero to jump in against the Drow Ranger. So despite the fact that LGD already have 2 melee cores, could still see Axe potentially coming out here. The one thing for Bristleback is that he is going to have to build up some armor this game. That is probably going to be a bit tricky against the Visage Venge Drow, just pumping out physical damage non-stop, but hopefully the Bristleback is going to help keep him safe, and probably just going to be seeing, we'll probably end up seeing a Crimson Guard at some stage out of the Bristle, so that should help solve some of his armor woes a little bit. And LGD, feeling like they don't have enough ways to get in on top of the Drow and disable that aura, they are going to grab themselves a Tusk, so you can get some snowball action going straight in. And Vici Gaming on the whole don't really have all that much AoE to punish big snowball initiations, so I think it's a solid pick here. It's a hero that we don't really see a whole lot of in the competitive scene, but looks like he has his place. And again, LGD, they love roaming aggressively with their supports. They love finding those pickoffs in the early game, and the Skywrath Tusk can definitely look to do that and move around and set things up. So just going to end up being the Razor Ban for Vici to wrap things up. LGD, meanwhile, what are they looking towards here? Vici probably would like to grab another ranged hero, I would guess, if at all possible. Something like a Puck isn't looking too bad, just to have a little bit of extra lockdown against the Ember, though the sleight of the Searing Chains phase shift interaction can always be a bit annoying to deal with. So we'll see what they end up looking towards here. No, okay, just going to be the Timbersaw, the Bristleback's Bane, if he wasn't going to have a hard enough time this game already. And Vici, how do they wrap this up? Again, I think the big question for them right now is what exactly the lanes are going to be. They've actually got lots of options. I'm not anticipating the Drow being in an aggressive tri-lane, but they could definitely build one around the other three heroes in the lineup right now. And, well, if you're looking for a tanky ranged hero to wrap things up, definitely look no further than the Viper. Going to make life that little bit more difficult for the Bristleback. I think he's going to be kited around a lot this game between the Viper Strike and the Frost Arrows, and laning against the Viper with Precision Aura is a nightmare, if the hero wasn't annoying enough already. So I think a very nice pickup here for Vici, pretty durable to have against the potential Skywrath Mage nukes, and also, as much as he's great against Bristleback, he's also not too shabby against the Ember Spirit. If the Ember isn't planning 100% ahead and keeping a Remnant out, then that Viper Strike slow can be a bit of a death sentence. And LGD, without too much time remaining, do just end up grabbing a Darkseer for the final pick. So another melee here added to the roster, gives them a little bit more AoE combo potential. It doesn't have the best synergy, of course, with the Skywrath Mage, but hopefully they'll be able to get some good ganks going on. And for LGD, I think the most important thing to look at here is that no matter where the Skywrath and the Tusk go, the hero that's sitting in the lane should be able to help set up a kill. You've got Ember Spirit with the shield and the side of and the Searing Chains. We've got Darkseer coming in, potentially throwing an Ion Shell on the Tusk. You've got Bristleback there, ready with good damage on a captive target. So I think a lot of this game does come down to Injuli and MMY. Well, not Injuli, but MMY and Faith making successful rotations around the map. And we'll just wait on everybody to pick up their heroes, and then we can get ourselves underway. We've got a last-minute swap. Don't know who caught that, but looks like FY and Ice are going to be switching things around a little bit. Ice actually handling what is looking like a core Visage this game. And with that first introduction out of the way, let's get ourselves going with Vici Gaming. FY on the Ogre Mega. We've got Fenrir on the Vengeful Spirit. Black is going to be handling Drow. And finally, Super will be on Viper. Meanwhile, for LGD, we have Injuli on Darkseer, MMY on the Tusk. We've got Yao heading towards mid as Ember Spirit. Faith making his way down towards the offlane at the moment on the Skywrath Mage. And finally, Sylar is going to find his way onto the Bristleback. Actually, just duo lanes forming up for the moment. FY hiding over in the trees. Ice. Placing a pretty conservative ward just to keep an eye over the pole camp, but not blocking anything out. Looks like Faith is going to come in and actually fully block the pull here just to make sure that Vici aren't pulling down bottom lane. Though, again, they're probably going to be roaming quite a bit since they have Venge and Ogre, so I don't know how concerned they are about this. This also kind of reminds me of a game in the Summit 2, I think it was in the Grand Finals against C9, where C9 chose to come down and block the Vici Gaming pull, and they weren't able to deward it, so the Vici supports just kind of said screw it and went and killed heroes for 10 minutes and absolutely decimated C9. So the decision to actually block out their pull kind of came back to bite them, as FY and Fenrir just set up kill after kill after kill. Gonna get ourselves into the game, and LGD, nice start for them, grabbing both of the 0-minute runes. FY with these boots first will once again retreat over to the trees to see what he can get done starting out on this top lane. MMY also with some boots first, wandering his way around. There's no block whatsoever on the creep wave up here, and I believe this may have been spotted by the Radiant Observer as well, so Ice is kind of realizing that there might be an early gank on the middle lane with multiple heroes making their way in. Gonna ping that out, and Black gonna play back just a little bit more defensively, though they do now see Sylar and Faith finally making their way up towards top lane, and it looks like the LG lanes will finally settle. Jump in on top of Ice. He doesn't have a whole lot of armor to work with here, and the big auto attacks coming out of the Skywrath Mage. That double damage does work, and that's going to be your first blood. FY reveals himself from the trees, running straight at MMY, but there's already boots up on this Tusk, so won't be able to finish off that kill. Ice does return to the lane, but easy snowball, easy kill, and LGD continue that nice start that they secured themselves with those runes. And I mean, Ice saw that coming. It just didn't anticipate the snowball absolutely destroying him. But 0 armor, 500 HP at level 1. And Visage is not the best positioned to escape from those ganks. FY doing his best to be a nuisance and interrupt some of this pull, and grab a couple of last hits for himself. Meanwhile, checking out the middle lane, just a bit of a farm trade for now, as yeah, it does get off to a good early start. Definitely needs to get these early CS to be able to get up to his bottle. Went for the poor man's shield first, so needs to be willing to get up and trade a little bit of life for some creeps, just so they can get to that and start spamming things out. It is going to be annoying harass-wise for the Ember, just because the Drow can orb walk him constantly, but should be able to keep things spammed out with the Flame Guard and maybe secure himself a couple of runes here and there. And as I'm speaking about runes, we've already passed the 2-minute mark. Bounty rune down bot and a haste on top. This time around it's Vici Gaming getting both of those runes secured. Though FY has been spotted by a dire observer, so I don't know how much he's going to be able to get done here. It is at the very least going to force Faith back into a more defensive position. In July hasn't been harassed too much on this bottom lane. The Super and Fenrir are doing a pretty good job of keeping things controlled. Do we have many denies on the Viper? We do. Those early points in Ion Shell always a little bit difficult. FY just getting some harass down on Sylar, but nothing to come of that. Bristleback, despite not having any points in his passive, still a little bit too tanky to bring down at this stage. And MMY actually has his level 2 up, so looks like he's going to be teaming up with Yao to try and go for a kill here on the mid lane. Actually, already a point in the Sleight of Fist picked up for Yao. Somewhat unusual. I think most people these days have been just favoring the Searing Chains and the Flame Guard early on, but maybe he'll be able to drop a nice combo and pick something up. Stun coming out on Invalai. He still has his Surge, so just ends up being more harassment. Doesn't have anything left in the tank regen-wise, so it looks like he's going to be sent back to the fountain, at least for now, but getting pretty close to his soul ring, so things looking good on that front. Ice, despite that early death, is getting some great farm on top lane, being babysat by FY on this Ogre. And Vici just in general favoring these dual lanes, and in general doing pretty well against the tri-lanes as well. We saw the Dazzle plus the Broodmother do extremely well against the IG tri-lane in the previous game, and well, the Ogre and the Visage are definitely getting things done over here. Yao gets that bottle shipped out on mid, would like to grab one of these 4-minute runes if at all possible. Fenrir pokes his head over to the trees, picks up a sneaky TP scroll as he makes his way top lane. Ice gets jumped, but a nice dodge with the snowball out of MMY. Stick charge is not going to be enough to keep up the Visage. And not only is that a kill on the Visage, it also means that Fenrir's rotation ends up being completely wasted. So even more gold lost there for Vici. And despite the fact that they're pulling out ahead in terms of this early game farm, net worth and experience are still plunging a little bit down towards the LGD side. Fenrir feeling confident with this solo smoke to actually make his way all the way around the side right now. FY and Ice need the creep wave to get into a better position to make this charge a little bit less suspicious, but Fenrir takes the long route, wraps all the way around, in comes the aggression. They're going to try and get in front of the Bristleback, do as much damage as they can. Ice with the soul assumption to the face, finishes up the kill, and Faith just with a token concussive shot to say, hey guys, I'm here, but I'm not coming out of the fog. And it's now LGD's turn to try and make another big rotation. Smoke used. Big investment from them. TP and a smoke to try and find this kill on the Drow Black. playing back a little bit. Doesn't have any boots. Concussion shot slow comes in, and there's the Searing Chains combo. Sets up for the snowball. In comes the ice shards, and Black gonna be taking a little bit of a dirt nap. 20 seconds on the bench for him. Does manage to grab a couple of TP scrolls before he goes down. But still a nice gank for LGD, and paying back all the investment that they put into that one with the TP and the smoke. And looks like MMY and Faith deciding that they're not done just yet. Unfortunately, Radiant Ward still scouting them out as they make their way down towards bottom lane, so Super not going to be poking his head forward. Got a pause from Yao as we looks like we have some lag concerns. Meanwhile, Ice just getting some tankiness up on top lane. He's finished up his treads. Any other big item pickups to talk about? I guess we should talk about the Drow's build a little bit. For the most part, it looks like Black just kind of going for a buff bot build here. They're going to finish up the mech as fast as they possibly can. On the Viper, Manta Style will probably be the one big item for Black. If he can farm it up, and then they'll likely just start pushing Visage. Probably gonna work towards a pretty quick Aghanim Scepter if he can grab it, but that's pretty much the strat. These Wraith Bands definitely helping out quite a bit as well to win the other lanes. So as much as mid lane is a farm trade, the extra damage is the big reason why we're seeing such massive scores on both Super and Ice. So the strat is working out, and Vici showing that they are not going to hesitate to secure the Drow Visage if it makes it through. And this is where Vici's drafts start getting scarier and scarier. If you feel that you have to ban Broodmother because you can't deal with it, if you feel that you have to ban Terrorblade because you can't deal with it, if you feel that you have to ban Drow Visage because you can't deal with it, if you think you have to ban Centaur Invoker because you can't deal with it, well, all of a sudden you've got too many heroes to ban and not enough ban spots available. So Vici are going to get one of their comfortable pocket strats pretty much no matter what. FY and Ice, another go on top lane. Sylar does have his bristly back turned, but is that going to be enough? Second Soul Assumption comes out, and the damage from the Ignite just going to be enough. Yao looking to turn this one around with the Haster, and FY will be brought down by one more auto attack. And Yao, sensing additional kills, is going to charge straight over into the trees, but Ice with the no hesitation TP out does get himself at the safety. Meanwhile, Darkseer also ends up going down on the bottom lane. Looks like that was just an effort between Fenrir and Super to finish him off. I don't know how he ended up so far down in the lane, but nice kill all the same for Vici, starting to close that gap. Just one kill in it for now. Soul Ring also snagged for FY, so he's got the sustain that he needs to keep spamming out those stuns, and well, relying on Nighttime for now, hoping that they can catch Yao out as he makes his way down into the river, but Dire Ward scouting this, and looks like FY not going to be able to grab that kill. Ice renowned for his micro. Going to show us what he can do with these familiars, actually just sending them over towards mid as he continues to farm up on top lane. And yeah, Vici just settling in, keeping the supports rotating, and starting to pull things back little by little. Speaking of rotating supports, MMY trying to find another gank on mid, but does need to be a little bit careful. Faith a bit further away, but looks like he might be teaming up with his Tusk buddy before too long. We've got no stacks in the neutrals or anything like that. Everyone's been way too active in the early game to bother. And do we have fresh wards being placed down? LGD actually got out pretty early with their second set, which is starting to pay off a little bit for them now. MMY with the really aggressive TP, and Injali's already dead. Meanwhile, on bottom lane, MMY now pops back out. One more auto attack seals the deal, and looks like it's going to be a triple as Super just keeps on plinking away. LGD supports TPing into their death. Yao's going to do his best to turn this one around. Does get the kill on the Vengeful Spirit. Super now attempting to TP out. Corrosive Skin slowing things down a bit, and looks like Yao will not be able to grab that kill. So, meanwhile, also top lane, Sylar getting nuked down by another Soul Assumption. Ice with the solo kill. Investing a resummon on the birds to get some extra damage, but well worth it as Vici wipe LGD off the face of the map pretty much in one fell swoop. And now Ember, actually the target. Ogre coming in. There's the slow. Does he have a remnant? Gonna throw one out now, but it makes a very slow path towards the tower. Yao does jump in, but FY continues pursuit. No stun for 5 seconds. And looks like that's gonna be the end of that one. Meanwhile, Sylar still trying to scrape together items on top lane, but these 3 back-to-back deaths proving to not be very much fun, and well, Ice actually just picks up a straight medallion, so Lots more minus armor synergy coming out for the team right now as Fenrir also picking up some early points in the Wave of Terror. And with those kills down bottom, Super almost completes his mech, so the push can begin. TP coming in from the Ember. Looks like Super is willing to tank all the damage out here. Yao, nice sleight of fist dodge. Gets out of the way of the Gust, but still getting right-clicked low. Black wants to finish this kill. Remnant jump through. Familiars come in and finish it off. In July, along with MMY chasing down FY. Lots of Ys there. Do we have some familiar drop downs? Not available. FY trying to do his best to juke. It's still getting slowed up. Looks like they will still end up losing the Tusk. Bit of a turnaround. Ice all the way from top lane. Finding some kills with those familiars. Sylar has a double damage. He's going to try and get on top of Black, but won't be able to do anything. And after everything, it ends up being a 3-for-2 overall exchange. Though experience and gold do end up favoring LGD just by a little bit. Nice for them, but experience and net worth still climbing steadily in Vici's favor for the time being. And that should be the mech completed on Super. Yep, in one more last hit. So these towers are going to continue dropping, and if Vici win a team fight, they can even look to just head straight into Roshan. They may even just be going Roshan right now. They can take it in a couple of seconds flat. They just need to not reveal with the wave yet. So Fenrir's going to take the time to send the wave up so it doesn't get scouted by any wards. Meanwhile, LGD are going for a smoke of their own. They're actually looking for a kill on Super down bot. Switches over to those strength treads, trying to get that survivability out. Concussive shot along with the Mystic Flare come in. He will be bursted down. Roshan's already finished. Now we've got some stun swaps coming in. Fenrir wants this kill on Yao. Bringing him low, gets the howl off. It's only going to take a couple of auto attacks to finish this kill. And Black now comes in from behind. Beautiful familiar drops out of Ice. They've already got one. TP out attempted from the Ember. Yao surviving on just a sliver. MMY, does he have enough to get out? No, the burst damage chops him down. Double kill for Black. And should be a pretty easy tier 1 tower to fall right afterwards. LGD charging down there as quickly as they can to try and defend, and Sylar split pushing a little bit on top lane. Yeah, these Ice auto attacks are a bit more than he bargained for. Turns his back, tries to get away here. Looks like he should just survive. But yeah, you're not diving the tower against this Visage. Black has actually maxed out the Precision Aura, so all of this Agi boosting up his team, and he's almost got level 11 as well, so an extra 20 on the way before too long. This bristleback counter is, I think, not working out nearly the way that LGD were hoping it would. He is getting close to his Vanguard, so some extra survivability coming up there, but Crimson Guard's still going to take a little while. Another gank squad coming in mid, long-range concussive shot in July, going to throw out the Iron Shell. Plus they will get this FY kill at the very least. Faith snagging that one for himself, along with some more urn charges. Meanwhile, Familiars along with Black pushing in bot. Tower getting absolutely hammered. There is a glyph, so LGD will hold on for now, but the split push comes in from Vici, also hammering top lane with both the Visage and the Viper. And LGD are in two minds about where to defend. Yao gonna get silenced up on bottom lane. Stun comes in. Familiar drops might be there in time. Ice not moving the familiars across quite quickly enough. Won't be able to get it. And Yao does zip back to the fountain. But while that was happening, tier 1 tower dead on top lane. MMY wants to try and get something done here. He came up to defend the tower, popped down a ward as well to keep an eye on rotations across. And they know that Black is down bottom lane at the moment, so might be able to get something done. Yao's actually coming down bot to try and kill the Drow, it seems. And meanwhile, Fenrir is actually just pulling the lane back here to grab himself a little bit more farm. And never one to skip out on some greedy items. He's actually just grabbing some phase boots here. They're going to jump in down bottom lane. It's on top of Black. Yao making his way in. That's going to be the Aegis popped. Vici just spam pinging to keep pushing on top lane. And the Walrus Punch is waiting. Black gets off a final gust, but that's all he has left. Does end up going down. Did he get the Precision Aura use? Nope. So this tower is going to take a little bit longer to bring down, but Vici's still plinking away at it. Oh, and I guess while he's dead, the Precision Aura isn't active anyway. What am I talking about? In July, kind of stuck in no man's land, still hugging the fog for now. They have a glyph, so the tower won't go down. FY being isolated. Out comes the steering chains along with the silence. Yao once more being surged across. Familiars ready for drop downs just to protect Ice. does get the TP away. Super also just going to TP straight over to mid. But LGD keeping the kill score close, 11 to 12 right now. Net worth takes a little bit of a dip down below 5k in Vici Gaming's favor, and about 2.5k experience lead cut down a bit as well. And Black just has that Yasha up. Again, lots of value agi, probably just working on the Manta. Probably not going to get S and Y, but if he wants the slot efficiency, could consider it. Vici are really just looking to continue 5-manning and closing this game out before too long. They're going to come back to this tier 2 tower on bottom lane. There is a glyph, but Black's auto attack's already blowing things up. Starladder with the Vanguard complete, feeling a bit more confident in tanking through all the damage, but all that confidence turns out to be a bit ill-placed. So he gets blown up. Ember Spirit does manage to get himself a tier 1 tower on the middle lane. In July now caught out. He's got a Surge. FY's going to be looking for some body blocks. Got an Ice Shards coming across from MMY as he gets some distractions going. And does manage to retreat over into the fog, but Vici Gaming are everywhere. Looks like FY will be brought down one more time as the DD Ember puts an end to his life, but the rest of Vici Gaming still clustered up on bot. They've already brought down the tier 2. They've got a swap waiting in the wings. Fenrir ready to bring back anyone who's caught out of position. Black, Mystic Flared. Can he get out of here? There's the swap. There's the mech as well. It looks like Vici should be fine to sound the retreat. At the same time, we do have Familiars split pushing at the top lane, so Ice grabbing some more farm for himself. A mere 600 gold away from completing his Aghanim Scepter, and also has himself his level 11. And yeah, looks like Black's just going to value some extra survivability and goes straight in for the S and Y. I think it's fine. This game gives you a little bit of extra move speed to be chasing people around. The survivability is definitely very nice, and as much as it would be extremely weird to see a Heaven's Halberd on the Drow Ranger, could disassemble it into a Manta Heaven's Halberd later on. So we'll see what he ends up going for. Meanwhile, Yao still farming up. Good net worth, leader on his team, but still a little ways away from the Battle Fury. And Super and Fenrir going for a smoke. It looks like Sylar will once again be the unsuspecting victim of this gank. There aren't Familiars in range, so this one might be a little bit difficult. Fenrir trying to get the swap around just to get some extra damage out of the stun. Can they get here in time? They will just grab it. And now MMY stuck in a bad spot, slowed down, just going to turn around and fight, hope that his team can get here in time. Looks like Fenrir is going to tank the snowball. They're using it as long as they possibly can. Mech comes out from Super, tries to keep his teammate alive, but the Mystic Flare Silence comes in, and the cavalry has arrived for LGD. They find the 1 kill. Familiar is going to work on Faith. Surge gets him out of range of their clutches. Looks like LGD will get away with only the 2 deaths. Nice response. Well done from MMY to actually just stand around and fight and try and keep Vici Gaming there instead of going out quietly. But Vici's still going to get the better of the trade as this tier 2 tower in the mid lane is going to end up falling. So Aghanim's up for Ice, as we saw earlier. We've got 3 birds flapping their way around the map. Yao has that Claymore up, but starting to run a little bit low on buildings as we pass the 18-minute mark. And definitely needs that Battle Fury, that Ember Spirit power curve of really good in the early game, kind of iffy in the mid game, and then ridiculous in the late game. Well, he's sort of starting down the bottom of this valley right now. So needs to get that Battle Fury, needs to start getting some farm up. Meanwhile, FY, what's he got? Not a whole lot. He is, as always, the pretty sacrificial support player, so it looks like it's just wards on the agenda for him. Ice Shards tossed out. Meanwhile, Ice just cleans up the Skywrath Mage with the solo kill. Familiar's out there. MMY also going to have to run for the hills. Yao, not a whole lot that he can do aside from throw out one side of Fist. In July does make his way over. FY now revealed by the Sentry Ward. Going to throw out as many stuns as he can. And In July actually in a lot of trouble. Chain stun out of the Familiars. Is there enough damage? Pops his stick charges, pops the mech, and just survives. Familiar's not going to be popping back up in time to finish the kill. And at the same time, Ice also just hitting some creeps on top. And Fenrir ready with the swap stun, just in case anybody gets too close over to this cliff. Unfortunate for him that there's already a Sentry Ward waiting right up here, but we'll see if LGD can even get out here to de-ward it. And meanwhile, Vici, what are they waiting for? Black's actually got 2.6k gold up, so another item can definitely be his before too long. Sylar working towards the Crimson Guard as anticipated. Going to take him a little bit longer to farm that one. And the Ember Spirit Battle Fury progress. Close, but no cigar. Still doing what he can. Meanwhile, Fenrir and Super are going to try and punish him here for farm on the mid lane, but Remnant's already waiting, and back he goes. So Vici just kind of controlling the map, out farming LGD in the neutral game, and LGD just trying to scrape together whatever they can. The Darkseer, I don't know what he's going to end up going for. Four Staff's not too bad. Pipe, honestly not all that helpful. Blink Dagger could actually be okay if they're just looking to combo and try and wipe Vici Gaming out that way. Stun comes out onto Yao, they have the chain stun. Drops the Sleight of Fist, gets back to the Remnant. Slow out into Sylar, they're just going to try and wait out this Crimson Guard buff if they can. Super getting isolated, getting silenced, but just standing his ground and fighting for the time being. They're going to try and bring down the Frozen Sigil. There's a swap back onto Sylar, stunned up. Fenrir retreating back to the safety of his team. Ice picks up the kill on the poor Skywrath Mage. Those birds going to work. 2 dead already. The wall is down. Vici trying to fight away from it. Black getting punched up into the air, but stands his ground. Keeps on fighting. Has the survivability out of that S&Y. Double kill for Ice, and a 4-0 in Vici Gaming's favor as they press forward onto the high ground. There is a glyph available, but it's only going to buy them a few more seconds. Meanwhile, Ice already making his way top, prepping for future pushes. There is a buyback from the Darks here. LGD throwing everything that they can at this to defend, but the melee barracks is just dropping way too quickly. Nice combo from the Ember, but Fenrir and FY just going to shrug it off and keep on going in July. Looking for an angle into this fight, but with no wall, makes life fairly difficult. Does have his mech up in just a second. There's a swap back onto the Darks here, straight into the multicast. The Vici Gaming coordination brings down 1 Ice Shards. Do keep them trapped inside the base. MMY rolls in solo, throws at the punch, almost gets Fenrir. The Urn Charge finishes him off. Sylar, now isolated, turns his back. Can he get out of here? Super dropping low. Black, same story. They've got that ultimate disabled, and MMY does manage to seal the deal. Ticks down to the Viper dots, and Vici Gaming get the racks and do retreat. LGD managed to pull out a couple of kills at the end of the day, but I think Vici just going to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, grab a few more items, and be straight back down another one of these lanes. 2k gold on the Viper. Actually, just switching it over to current gold. We've got 4.2k on the Drow, we've got 3k on the Visage. So, plenty of items coming Vici's way before too long, and meanwhile, for LGD, item progression, well, 1800 gold for Sylar, so could pick up another Heaven's Halberd or an S&Y or something before too long. And the Ember Spirit has actually completed his Battle Fury, so he can start split pushing, can start clearing out waves, and we'll start getting toward those items that he's really going to need if LGD are going to turn this one. They're already down 12k gold and 5k experience. Vici will continue to knock on their front door. There's a swap back on In July. Easy pickup. Ice waiting with the Familiar's Faith. Also eating some pokes. Perfect drop downs from Ice. Going to prevent that one Familiar going down. Looks like Yao wants to camp it out. They do need to be careful. There's Vici Gaming heroes in the vicinity. They bring down one. Faith almost ends up dropping. But they do manage to clean those Familiars up. Ice with the resummon brings them straight up on top lane. But Black just buys a straight up Eagle Song. Screw it! Team needs more agi, team needs more damage. Visage has got a pretty hefty plus 65. Viper is auto attacking for 240 or so. Math is hard. FY has actually managed to pick himself up a Yule Scepter. Fenrir, just a bit of value tankiness in that Vitality booster. MMY pokes his head outside of the base, and I don't think that's really where he wants to be. FY could have probably got the Yules off there, but chooses not to. Just going to hang on to it for now. Yao doing his best to come out and clean things up. There's a swap from Fenrir. Both heroes going to walk away unscathed. A little bit more harassment being thrown back and forth. The Familiars split pushing in top lane. The Mystic Flare comes out, but FY dodging that one with the Yules. Gets out one more stun. They bring down one. There's a vacuum into a wall. They're cleaning things up with the cleave. How much more can they do? Ice will be brought down. Everybody else on Vici scattered to the four corners of this team fight. Viper turns around. They're going to continue chasing him with the illusions a little bit further up. We've got the punch from MMY. Brings down the Vengeful. Now the Aegis will be popped off on Viper. Yao waiting up on the high ground. Super, still quite tanky. MMY comes in with the snowball. They get the stun. Familiars looking for drop downs, looking for damage. MMY brought low, but not dead just yet. Another ignite comes in, and FY seals the deal with the stun before running off into the sunset. But all things considered, LGD, it's a hold. They did end up using a buyback on the Tusk, so more invested there, but at least this time around they don't lose any additional buildings, and you have to consider that was Vici Gaming with an Aegis. So I think the one thing for Vici there is that they grouped up a bunch, they let themselves get 5-man back walled, and that set up for the Ember Spirit to decimate them. So just gonna have to be a little bit more disciplined on future pushes, and they've got 4 ranged heroes as well, so it shouldn't be too difficult, even coming into some of these choke points, to not group up like that. Darkseer, still not a whole lot of item progression after that death. Don't think there's anything on the courier for him. Well, the death and the buyback. Actually finds himself among the bottom 3 right now, poor In July, which makes his job a lot harder. Vici's still contesting the LGD side of the map right now, but LGD have managed to push out a little bit further with some of their wards. FY, the stun on the Faith. The Familiar's coming in. He's got a Ghost Scepter. It's going to keep him alive for now. Concussive Shot thrown back the opposite direction, but FY with those Unbroken Tranquils still a little bit too difficult. We've got a huge snowball coming in though. LGD jumping in with 2 heroes. The stun doesn't connect. FY turns around with the multicast. They've managed to bring down the Skywrath Mage on the back lines. MMY goes for the TP out. Yao looks like once again lagging perhaps, so he's gonna go for a pause. Yeah, it looks like the Skywrath Mage just got swooped from the tree line. Silo does have his Heaven's Halberd, so that's potentially quite helpful against this Drow Ranger if he can get it off. But he's almost got... Does he go for Butterfly? I don't even know if he goes for Butterfly. He could honestly just buy Ethereal Blade. And they just Ethereal Blade somebody and throw Ogre stuns and Vengeful stuns at him. And that person just dies, and then you go on to the next target with all of your value plus agi. But who am I kidding? It's probably just gonna be Butterfly. And black is reconnecting, so we have a little bit of a break. Net worth stabilizing a bit at 10k, 5k experience, both in the Radiant favor. MMY, he's already out of there. 0 seconds left on the TP. And is there anything else to really talk about item-wise? We've got a Crystalist picked up for the Ember, so talked about him being a little bit behind the curve, but those recent kills have rocketed him up. 6, 1, and 13. I think a very good performance out of Yao this game. He got the early farm that he needed, but he also hasn't dropped the ball in finding the kills in these team fights. And given that there's quite a lot of lockdown for Vici Gaming looking for him, if he gets silenced once he's dead, if he gets stunned once he's dead, I think 1 death is a very good performance out of him. So does kind of show why some of these teams prioritize the Ember Spirit really highly, but they've got a player who really makes the hero shine. So it looks like we're still going to be waiting a little bit longer here. In July, elite gold for him. I still don't know what he's going to be able to get up to here. Maybe just a Ghost Scepter. Oh, right. The classic is let's look at effigies. Does anyone have? Well, nobody has an effigy in English. MMY has a Wisp, which looks a little bit strange. We've got Yao's Invoker. Makes a lot of sense. Also fantastic on this hero, not to mention the Ember. We've got Faith, having Storm Spirit. What is he even doing there? Oh. And that's actually it for LGD. Is Vici Gaming any more interesting? Ice just with a Dancing Timbersaw. No inscription for him. We've got For Eternal Love by Black, which is no comment. Got a very spooky Shadow Demon for Fenrir. Looks like that's the middle of his Soul Catcher animation. And who else? Super with the Juggernaut. I think I've seen this Jug taunt one way too many times, but still looks really cool. Oh, and last but certainly not least, FY's Rubik on the broomstick. Why not? So what else can we talk about? I guess I went on a little rant earlier about Vici Gaming and their drafting, and also guess can kind of tie in some comments that PPD made about overall drafts and how the scene is playing out at the moment. That, you know, Vici and EG kind of seem to have their style where they're willing to pick different things here and there, you know, see what works. Kind of the same thing for Secret. And then you look at a team like Cloud9, they have pretty cookie cutter drafts every time. They know what they like. They know what they like to pick, and I think Vici are just ridiculously tough to draft against at the moment. I think it does kind of play in a little bit to how the Chinese scene functions in general. If somebody comes up with an extremely successful strat in China, everyone else is at a high enough, you know, and in general everyone's at a high enough skill level that your drafts get copy-pasted very quickly and perfected. So for teams like Vici and the old DK, there's this, to stay on top of the Chinese scene, you really need to be constantly innovating, constantly changing your drafts, and not really falling into ruts where the other teams that all have eyes on you. Particularly Vici now is pretty much the #1 team in the world, at least at the moment. I don't think that's a completely unreasonable statement to make. Everyone is trying to pick apart what they're doing right, what can be done to counter them, and how you can trap them in the draft. But with that said, Black is going to reconnect, so we can get ourselves back underway. For anyone who's just lost their bearings, LGD just made their way down here. We're looking for a kill on FY, but the snowball didn't quite connect, and everybody's just going to make their way back to base. So it does end up being a butterfly for Black, and looks like Vici, they've only got 20 seconds on that Scarith Mage pickoff, but still keen to make their way down and get some more pushing done. Super actually with just a Yasha picked up. Yasha and, well, I'd say Manta Style and Heart, both pretty good sieging items on Viper, but they can be a little bit unimpressive otherwise. FY once again doing his best Indiana Jones impression, charging away from the snowball. MMY gets slowed up. Ignite coming in as well. Yao in some trouble, and with the multicast and the familiar damage, he gets blown up. That's the mega kill streak gone, and that one death record put to an end. Sylar now in trouble. He has his back turned. He just wants to make it back up this hill. MMY going to put his body on the line, throwing out some stuns. Does manage to catch Super and Fenrir, who gets left behind in the Mystic Flare. Super vacuumed back through into the wall. Just going to fight to the bitter end, doing his best he can. Vici lose 2. Ice comes up aggressively into the LGD base, but no one is really looking to back him up. Sided Fist dodges out of the way of the gust. Ice ticking low, Earn Charge still on him, but LGD trying to stick close to their high ground. Concussor shot out onto FY. Vici Gaming, no buybacks thrown out just yet. Injuly jumps in with the blink, throws out one more Ion Shell. Black trying to turn this fight around. Big auto attacks coming out. Another vacuum from Injuly. Yao trying to drop the combo, only finds it onto FY. Injuly now just getting poked down. The frost arrows from Black cleaning him up. Faith, can he evade the familiars? Looks like he's just fast enough. Also has his Ghost Scepter up and available. And Vici do manage to turn things outside of the base, bring down the Ember Spirit once more. 3rd death to the tally for him. And that was LGD throwing everything that they had into that fight, especially with the Ember buyback. We've now got a Hex picked up. MMY puts a very quick end to the Ogre as he tries to make his way up onto the high ground. Black retreating back. He's got Flutter and Bloodlust move speed, so it looks like he's going to be okay. Sylar unable to close the gap. Fenrir and Ice. Now rejoining the team, just looking for any kind of swap Hex. Oh, just not enough vision off of that Howl. You could see Fenrir standing there and looking for the swap, but not quite in range and ended up being fogged.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And Black, only 500 HP, but continuing to play this very aggressively. Fenrir not really sitting all that far back, so not really ready to swap him out, but the rest of Vici Gaming make their way up. Super gonna mech his team back to health. And, well, Injuly realizing that they need to keep Vici Gaming as far away from their base as they possibly can. He's gonna pick up a smoke. They're gonna try and find a team fight outside. They do have some pretty good vision. Dire warding, covering a lot of the high grounds that Vici Gaming could be sneaking around on. And looks like Vici just gonna continue to chill out, wait for that mech to cool down one more time, and then continue the onslaught. Roshan, for anybody wondering, potential respawn in about 2 minutes time, and we'll keep an eye on that as things progress. Sylar wants some of these creeps top lane, but that could end up being his death. Stun straight out, multicast Hex, everything and the kitchen sink thrown at him. Yao now coming in, they get the vac, they get the wall, the combo comes out, but the Mystic Flare not doing enough damage. Ven able to run away, they don't have any slows. MMY jumps in with the punch, does manage to finish off the Ven, but there's 3 already dead on LGD. Ice still right clicking away. Buyback from the Skywrath Mage in a very aggressively positioned TP, but LGD not able to fight around the wall any further. Cannot continue this fight. Yeah, will continue to harass, just keeping Vici as far away as he can. But I think Vici are on the up and up. Black still very healthy. Super just gonna come in from the middle lane to zone everybody away as the tier 3 tower gets hammered. Skywrath Mage not looking all that great. Angel Eye comes in, only drops the vacuum on 1. Looks like FY will be brought down, manages to drop the Yule Scepter, still alive. Stick Charge is actually keeping him up. Super running straight into the back lines. Finds the kill on the Sky. The barracks already gone, courtesy of Black. And Faith, he's had enough. He's going to tap out. Calls the GG. And with that, Vici Gaming, I think, take their pretty much uncontested throne on top of the group stage. 6-1 their final record after all of these games. And no matter what, they are advancing through to the next round of competition. LGD still 3-1, very respectable, could actually equal Vici Gaming if they sweep their remaining games, and we're actually going to have LGD back before too long as they face up against IG in our final best of 1 for the evening. Don't go too far, guys. We've got Magneto versus Lai coming up in... when is the scheduled start? So scheduled to start in about 13 minutes, so 15 minutes or so for you guys. More than likely, we'll probably have some minor delays thrown in there. Thank you very much for watching here. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage so far, and I'll see you soon for our last 2 best of 1s of the evening.